I love fighting games. From the old to the new, I'll take either kusoge or esports. But I'm also a huge fan of the horror genre. From the classics to the fresh takes, be it schlocky or artsy, I adore it all. Thankfully for me, elements of horror have been present in the fighting game genre basically since the beginning. I always gravitate towards creepy and bizarre characters, and one of my favorite fighting games of all time is a beautiful gothic homage to the classic Universal monsters. But what if I wanted to see the battle of horror legends, like Leatherface versus Jason Voorhees? Well, you'd probably just play Mortal Kombat X. But what if I wanted to get real down and dirty and see the Ghostface versus Chucky matchup? Or Pinhead versus Michael Myers? Or the niche dream match of Maniac Cop versus the Tall Man? The game you're looking at is a classic slasher fan's wet dream. The horror labor of love known as Terrordrome, Rise of the Boogeymen. A fan game that took almost a decade to come out from the super small and dedicated team at Huracan Studios, which was developed in the legendary 2D Fighter Maker 2002 program. All of the graphic assets are completely original, and are surprisingly 3D models that were then turned into sprites instead of your traditional 2D drawn or even digitized actor sprites that are usually found in 2D Fighter Maker games. This makes Rise of the Boogeymen really stand out for me, while the graphic style also helps create a very lonely and cold atmosphere that a horror murder fest should. Terrordrome, Rise of the Boogeymen has an amazing cast of 14 horror film legends, ranging from obvious bloody all-stars like Leatherface, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Chucky, Ghostface, Pinhead, and 2 different Jason Voorhees to pick from, one being his classic appearance from Friday the 13th Part 3, and the other being Undead Jason from Part 6 onwards. We also have the legendary Tony Todd's classic appearance as the Candyman gatekeeping the horror obscure, as we dig further into the abyss with cult horror icons like Matt Cordell from Maniac Cop, the Tall Man from Phantasm, Herbert West from Reanimator, the Pumpkinhead Demon from Pumpkinhead, and then finally, to close off this casket of terrors, we have our boy Ash Williams as our sole hero fighting these wicked monsters. Rise of the Boogeymen is a 4-button game, with punches, kicks, and weak and strong weapon attacks. Blocking is done by holding back, there's a spot dodge by pressing punch and kick together, and specials and supers are done by a combination of Street Fighter-like quarter circle motions and Mortal Kombat-like back-forward motions. There are some really interesting universal mechanics too, like all grabs being done with quarter circle forward plus punch, which when grabbed, leaves the opponent in a grab state while you decide which of the 2 follow-ups you want to perform on your foe. Every character also has a helper, which is a move that differs greatly between characters that can only be done twice a round that stuns the opponent for a short time. For instance, Leatherface sets down bear traps. Chucky calls upon voodoo magic. Michael Myers straight up throws his sister's tombstone at you, and Ash reads the Necronomicon to summon a vortex, a zombie, or even a bunch of mini ashes. Combos can be done with your standard links, but every character also has their own unique Mortal Kombat-like chain combo, which is a string of moves that are performed in a specific order on hit, block, or whiff. Every button can be specialed or super cancelled from, and the combo system is crazy lenient, with launchers that lead to crazy juggles and restands for days. Of course there is some jank, but honestly performing combos in Rise of the Boogeymen feels good, and a lot of characters have really cool options. Like classic Jason has a stance switch with different weapons, Candyman can teleport and zoom across the screen all over the place, and Ghostface is basically just Ken. He has Ken's judo throw and a Shoryuken and a really cool OTG super. It's so ridiculous, but I love it. And I never thought I'd get the chance to say that I'm a Maniac Cop main, but I love how this dude plays, because his combos are just so fun to do. And of course, there are fatalities, done with a full bar meter on the last round done before killing the opponent. Because, it'd be a crime if there weren't fatalities in this game. What really blows me away with Terrordrome, Rise of the Boogeymen though, is its insane dedication and appreciation to the genre and movies I love so much. Let me stress that all of the graphic assets were created specifically for this game, which not only includes the characters themselves, but even the stages that are all classic locations from the films. Characters' attacks are obviously direct references from their own movies, with music and voice clips pulled to make the characters feel complete.
Death wish. Son of a bitch.
And there are tons of cute motifs that I really appreciate, like whenever you hit or knock down Jason or Michael Myers, notes from their themes will play. Even though it can be a little annoying when you're comboing them, I still like it. Also, if you were wondering if it'd be insanely annoying to fight Chucky, since he's literally a foot tall, you'd definitely be right. But some attacks have different animations just to account for his size. Like Jason kneeling down to shoot his harpoon specifically against him. That's more attention to detail than I'd expect from most AAA fighting games. And finally, every character has their own story in arcade mode, which has some very cool and fun what-if scenarios, with the horror icons interacting and of course, killing each other. All in all, I just want to stress that this is an insanely cool game that lets horror fans play out their wildest matchups. It's very clear that the team at Huracan Studios were passionate, and I want to showcase that there is so much more to the fighting game genre than whether a game is going to be at EVO or not, because projects like this make me so happy. But hey, if there ever is a Rise of the Boogeymen tournament, then GG's. Shake my hand. Huracan Studios is actually on their way to releasing the spiritual sequel to Rise of the Boogeymen with Terrordrome, Reign of the Legends, that is completely original. It's on Steam right now in early access, so if you want to support the team, I'd recommend checking it out. And maybe I'll talk about it more in the future someday once it's fully released. Thanks!